Hello and welcome to Cloud Forest Vibes. My name's Bobby, and this is how I grow orchids and carnivorous plants. Hello and welcome to Cloud Forest Vibes. So I had to shoot this and add it on to the very beginning of this video because I actually shot this video last week and just haven't had the time to post it. So today is the 4th of July, it is Independence Day here in the United States, and I wanted to wish all of you guys out there a happy Independence Day and a happy and safe 4th of July for all of you guys who are celebrating. For all of you who aren't, welcome and thank you for coming, and this is my video for today. We're just going to be looking around at a whole bunch of stuff. So I will get into the normal intro that I shot for this when I shot the video itself, but I did want to add this on to the very beginning of this. So happy Independence Day, and like I said, I hope you guys have a wonderful and a safe day. Hello and welcome to Cloud Forest Vibes. So today we're going to have another quick look around. I've got more new blooms, I've got some more blooms that were around last time that we definitely need to take a look at. And I figured while we're at it, we'll take a look at a few other things that I've been meaning to show you guys for a while, but I keep forgetting for one reason or another. So we're going to get in here. This is going to be all about the tent today. We just looked at most of the stuff in our tank in the last video when we did the Spider Farmer SF300 update and look around, so I'm going to skip that for now. We will get back to it because we still have a lot of cool stuff going on in there. Lots of cool stuff to come. But again, today is all about the tent. So let's get in here and take a look at some blooms, and we will also update you guys on some new stuff that I got that I didn't unbox because I actually bought it from a garden center. So here we go. So first and foremost, let's have a look at our Phalaenopsis bellina bud. This thing is large and in charge. It's just starting to show the signs that it wants to open. I was kind of hoping it would be open today just magically, but it did not. I think within this week we shall have bellina blooms upon us. So next update, but I wanted to show you guys the progress, and it's already got its second bud starting to push on and form down below this one, so I'm looking forward to another season with these beautiful, beautiful blooms. Last year I think we got 3 or 4 blooms off this plant, so I'm hoping for the same this year, if not better, but very, very exciting either way. Looking down here through the depths and the cracks, we have our Arangus mysticeti, and as you can see now, very, very well, the spike is progressing quite nicely, so that is still to come. The plant is doing really, really well. This is a little bit better angle. The leaves are dirty as heck. I spray a lot in here now because it's hot, so I run around quick with the sprayer. And some of the plants on the lower levels down here on the lower shelves, they do suffer a bit because they either get dripped on or they get, you know, debris and stuff from the mounts above them. But it is happy and healthy, I assure you. It's really, really doing well this season so far. New root growth all over the place, and of course this lovely flower spike that we have to look forward to. Our other big news in the Angraecum world is this. Arangus world is this. This is our Arangus punctata, and as you can see, the bud is starting to form. So starting to get the tail, the bud shape a little bit, and I'm not sure how much longer because I've never bloomed this before, but I can tell you I am extremely excited to finally see this bloom in person. I absolutely adore this Arangus. I struggled a little bit with it last year. I had sphagnum moss on the mount, and I can tell you right now, the moment that I took the moss off and started growing this bare rooted, it started doing amazingly for me. Absolutely a world's difference. So this year we have blooms, and I can't tell you again how excited I am to finally see this bloom in person. Some of our odd news, some new plants, something I am starting to kind of get into. I got these Tillandsia the other day from a little garden center up the road, Merrifield Garden Center, and they are quite neat. They were, you know, $5 or something like that. This one is super weird and spindly, It's got some pretty cool green patterning to it, you know, silvery green patterning. And the other one is very, very much, you know, your basic air plant, but it's tall, so it's a little bit bigger. I don't want to break it, but you know, it's taller, and I'm eager to see how they do. I've just got them kind of stuck in the rack right now. I have one more little Tillandsia. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it or not, but this is your basic, you know, Walmart special. I got this a while ago from Walmart, actually. I super glued it to the top of this little clay pot, and it has been living there for about 1.5 years or so, 2 years. So it's grown quite a bit. It's actually doing pretty well now. I keep it over here in a very, very bright spot in my window in front of all the other stuff that's here, and it gets pretty bright light because of that. So ultimately what I'd like to do is get these moved over there or hung up somewhere above me where it's going to be right under the grow light, and they're going to get the best light possible, because I would absolutely love to get some of these Tillandsias, now that I'm starting to collect a few of them, to be happy and grow well and of course bloom, because Tillandsia blooms are really, really cool, and it's something that I have yet to see in this grow room. So anyhow, back to the orchid blooms. Let's take a look at our friend here, Miltonia thymatochila. I'm just going to start scanning down as I talk, so forgive me if it gets a little blurry in and out, but I can say they are just starting to fade. I've got 2 or 3 blooms already gone, but what we have left is absolutely stunning. So following this spike down and around, we literally are tangled up in just about everything on this entire shelf. Start getting over into the other Cattleya types and the Tolumnias over here, and the spikes just extend and they keep going and going, and literally this whole greenhouse is just chock full of these awesome little blooms. Again, if you've been following the saga with this whole spike, this thing has been in spike for like 5 or 6 months. All these blooms off of just 3 branches. I did break 1, 2, and 3 of them. One of them was actually the main tip of the spike. I think that was this one down here. So to be honest with you, who knows? I was talking to someone in the comments. I mentioned to them, but I will tell you all, that this thing is probably 60 flowers on it. I haven't taken the time to count every one of them. I stopped counting around 50, and there was several left to go. So I guess I could take a big count on this, but again, I'll back out, and you can really see that, I mean, this thing is just everywhere. This whole grow room right now is filled with Miltonia thymatochila. Really awesome plant. I wish I could get the whole thing in focus, but it's just impossible. It's too big, too vast. Something that I do need to do, let's get down here on the plant level. This plant came to me bare rooted. I mean, it had hardly any roots on it at all, from Ecuagenera, and as you see, it's kind of progressed on. These leaves are starting to get a little old and looking like they want to fade. My new growth here is still nice and green and larger than anything else on the plant. However, I am a little bit worried. I do see that some of the aerial roots here, they are starting to go. Some of the stuff that's on the mount that was alive is starting to go, and this moss is really looking a little bit minky. So I am dying to get this thing to quit blooming so I can take all this moss off this mount, check on my roots, and make sure this thing is happy for the next season to come. I have not noticed any signs of new growth yet on this plant, but I would like to see it push on again and be able to bloom to its full capacity, because again, we've got tons of beautiful blooms, and I did break the spike. So this spike starts all the way down here, almost at the floor. We're about, what, you know, 6 or 8 inches off the floor here where it starts. And when I tell you that you follow it all the way up, and if I were to take this here and stretch it out, it will touch the roof of a 6'5" greenhouse. So that is pretty neat to me, and again, I cannot imagine what it would have been had I not broken it. Anyhow, that's enough about that. We have our first new bloom over here that, if you didn't already see, you are about to. This, my friends, is Cattleya manticorea. You're going to have to forgive the lighting. It is not doing it justice at all right now. I will move it in a second and try to get a better shot of it, but this is Cattleya manticorea, or Sophronides manticorea. I still prefer to call this Sophronides, but I guess the proper terminology for it would be Cattleya. I absolutely love this plant. This is my second year being fortunate enough to bloom this, and it is just as beautiful, if not more, than it was last year. I do believe the bloom is a little bit larger than it was last year, and I've got another new growth and a really wimpy one that's struggling to hang on back here. So I think that one's going to be okay, but this one behind it I really don't know about. But we do have at least one more chance to see another one of these flowers before this season is up. I'll have to take a few pictures of this because, again, the camera is not doing the red justice. That's about as close as I can make it. But yeah, that is Cattleya, or Sophronides manticorea. Really nice bloom. If you like red, Sophronides, or one of the genus of Cattleyas that are known for their awesome red flowers, or orangish red flowers, and again, must have if you like small red Cattleya types. Gotta have them. I am a little bit disappointed. The Sophronides pygmaea, or the Cattleya pygmaea down here, I think I gave it too much shade. It did grow a really nice new growth, really big new leaf and everything on it, but it did not bloom. We've got another new growth coming, so hopefully we have a chance later on in the season, but for this growth, I do not think, or absolutely know, we're not going to get a bloom this time around. Same thing with the Sophronides cernua. I updated the moss on this mount not too long ago. The plant is doing a lot better than it was. It was starting to really go downhill, but it's doing better now. We're growing, we're getting towards mature size. The other Sophronides cernua that I have up here that I got from Andes, it's starting to produce some roots. Still no new growths, no signs of new growths, but I'm eager to get one of these two darn little things to bloom, because I've been waiting quite a while to see these blooms. While we're over here in this direction, we can have a quick scan at some of the Daryl Adams plants. All of them are producing new roots, new growth. There's one there, there's another one there. You see the new roots pushing down, new growth pushing onto the side. Here is another one over here. Same scenario, new growth to the left, new roots pushing on through the moss. New roots, new growth everywhere. So very happy. Everything is growing, everything's acclimating really well. Here's my Leptodes unicolor. I got this from Tarzan. I unboxed it in my last unboxing video, and that there is the piece of tree fern. This orchid's going to be the one to get a go on it. It does a lot better in my tent environment than it did in my tank, so we're going to ride it out and see what happens. Currently it's getting watered about every 3 days. I let it dry out all the way between waterings, but I can say, if you look down there, get the Phymetichila out of the way, down here at the base, you see that little green shoot? That is a new growth, so it has started to push a new growth already, and it does seem relatively happy, at least on its new home. I don't want to dig through all of these and find them, but you'll have to take my word for it. All the plants on this wall, all the Daryl Adams plants, all the new Tarzan orchids, some of the ones I've relocated, Like this one, this is pretty big news. This is my Laelia harpophylla. This is what the Miltonia is using as a kickstand. This has its two newest growths. We both have sheaths, which is huge news. And I don't know if I can say this for sure or not, but this sheath down here looks like it just might have something down in the base of it. I'm not going to get my hopes up too much. I have really struggled. I have never bloomed this plant. I am absolutely in love with it, but as you can see, I've got not one, but two sheaths on these awesome new growths, and this thing is living happy as a clam ever since it got moved up into brighter light. I've got more, let's see, at least two, maybe three new growths coming down at the base here again, in addition to the two newest growths up there. So for once, this plant is growing really happy and acting like it at least wants to try to bloom. Really, really big news. Another plant that we have that is in bloom that we did not have last time is my Restrepia falkenbergii. I have moved this thing to the tent from the tank, and I can honestly say I think I'm going to keep all my Restrepias over here. I think I've got the watering down and everything else, and much to my happiness and delight, we have a bloom on this plant for the first time in a very, very long time. I have some better pics of this. I'm not going to dig this thing out right now, but I am excited to say that literally for the first time in probably 6 months or more, this thing has thrown out a bud and actually successfully bloomed. My other Restrepias, they're up here. They're doing okay. I've had some issues. I don't know if you see a couple dead leaves on this guy from plants dripping down on them when they're, you know, trying to put out new growths. This one's doing absolutely fantastic, though. My smaller one up here, my Subote, that one's doing okay, but I think all of them are really in need of a nice freshening up in media. If you look, the moss is manky. The moss stays moist, really, really moist a lot of the time. And though these are truly moist growers, they come from a montane, you know, kind of cloud forest environment. You know, they don't want to be too wet, and if they stay moist a lot or all the time like these do, the sphagnum moss will start to go quick and you will start to have issues. So that's going to be one of my next videos. I have done a lot of my moss updating this season. Lots and lots of plants have gotten a revamp, new moss and new situations, but I still have plenty, like my Restrepias and some of my other pleurothalids and things like that, that still need a good day in court and a nice once over. So that will be coming soon. I know I said we weren't going to talk about it for a while, but the Dracula carteri has started to open its second flush of blooms. This is bloom 1 and 2 open, and I've still got tons of spikes. Let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 spikes that are active on here that are acting like they want to continue to, you know, produce blooms for us. That's a really great thing. I really look forward to it. Again, this is an awesome little Dracula. And some really, really awesome news I am extremely pleased to share with you guys is this. This is my Mormollica rufescens, and if you see that down there, we are going to be lucky enough to have one more attempt at a bloom. The first spike, it got torn off by the Nepenthes, I believe. There actually was a second bud on this plant at one point in time. It got trapped beneath this growth up against the moss and it rotted and fell off. I really wanted to surprise you guys with that, but I was unable to, obviously, and now I'm just super thankful that we have a third opportunity to take a look at this and potentially see the flower. So again, this is Mormollica rufescens. This is a Maxillaria tribe plant. It's got a really cool growth habit. I love this little plant, but yeah, it's been very, very stubborn to bloom for me. So I've increased its light level this year. I moved it up just a shade, you know, literally just from the back wall there up to the front shelf in the same spot, and that was enough. So hopefully this bud hangs in, attempt number 3, you know, third time's the charm and all, and we will get to see this in the not too distant future. Very loved but often overlooked, this is my Lepanthes auriculata here. We don't have a lot of blooms. We only have, I think, one down here at the time. But we have tons and tons of progress on this plant. So all these are new growths. It's starting kind of small. I guess it's kind of restarting itself, to be honest. But I am eager to see this thing. I mean, it has doubled in size. I know it doesn't look like it, but as far as leaf count and growth count, we have more than doubled in size. So with a little bit more time and a little bit more energy and care, this thing is going to get back, I hope, to its original big size here, and we'll be full of these awesome yellow blooms again. So moving on from the auriculata, we have our little Hariella odorata that we got from Amazon. I'm very excited to say that this plant already has its first spike on it. It's going well, and the leaf that it came with is progressing quite nicely. I have not seen any new root growth, but I haven't seen anything die off as well, so it seems happy. I do let this thing dry out gently, between waterings in its growth season. And in the winter time, something very important about the Hariellas is they need a bit of a dry rest. Not a dendrobium type rest or catasetum where you're just going to ignore it or not water it for a very, very, very long time, but you are going to let this thing get extremely dry and stay dry for quite a while in between waterings. Where it comes from in its native environment in Taiwan, it does experience this. A lot of places in Asia, if you have a Asian orchid, you're going to want to really look into it and see, especially if it's from the South Pacific area, Australia, New Guinea, places like that. A lot of them are jungle dwellers. A lot of them do get, what you'd consider rainforest type conditions all year long, but some of them do not. Some of them get a nice dry rest. That's true of all orchids, really. I mean, you really want to look up what you're getting into when you get into them. Plenty of dendrobiums, plenty of plants like this, obscure things like the Hariella, a lot of angraecoids. I know for a fact that, Angraecum leonis, I know other angraecoids, they also need a rest. Certain bulbophyllums even, this is Bulbophyllum maximum. This plant needs to dry out in the wintertime. It really does. Where it comes from in Africa, it has a very pronounced wet and dry season, just like the Bulbophyllum barbagirum over here. Another bulbophyllum that needs a pretty dry rest in the wintertime to be happy and truly, want to bloom and things like that. Everyone thinks of their dendrobiums, of course, when they think of resting plants or catasetums, things like that. But there are quite a few different genus that do really appreciate a rest in the wintertime. So I got a little off topic there, I guess, but that is Hariella odorata, or Hariella retrocala, and that is a wonderful little Vandaceous type orchid that comes from Taiwan that does, yes, need a bit of a rest in the winter. Moving on to some really cool news that is not orchid related. I did update again my little sphagnum moss garden project here. I saw this for the first time on Lynn's channel, and I decided to go ahead and make my own little peat bog planter down here. I got this container. I work in the construction field, so we did some work in a restaurant that was going out of business. They were getting rid of all kinds of stuff, and they were throwing away all these awesome little containers. So I got myself a handful of them, and I have repurposed this one here for my moss garden. So we are getting there, guys. I don't know if you can see or not, but lots and lots of green, lots and lots of new growth starting down here in the peat, which is what we really, really want to see. That is coming along quite nicely. If you look back in there, let me get focused out a little bit, but it is kind of vast. So down through here I have done more than just put one type of moss. I have our green sphagnum moss here from one container. I took a whole container of this stuff and I chopped it up and put it in there. I have thrown just a little bit of this badge moss and a couple little sprigs of the other hair mosses and stuff like that from this container, the forest moss in here. I'm going to see what happens there. And I've taken a healthy portion of our red sphagnum moss here. I don't know if you can tell how much I've hacked on it or not, but I've taken a really healthy portion of that as well. So ultimately we're going to have green and red sphagnum moss in this container, as well as some other hopeful, little grab bag random forest mosses that really like the moist environment. So it's going to be pretty neat moss to pick from, I think, here in the near future. And Lord willing, if it goes really well and grows out of control, I will be able to do this again with another container, and hopefully in the future be able to share this awesome moss mix with you guys. So we're just going to call this the Cloud Forest Vibes mix for now, but that is just two different types of sphagnum moss I got from the Tarzan guys, and some moss that I found in the forest. So we will see how it goes. Looking good so far. Looking promising. Anyhow, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap my video out there for the day, guys. That's it. We'll take a little look here, a little trifecta of moss. Anyhow, I do appreciate you guys watching as always. Thank you so much. We are almost at 800 subscribers. I absolutely cannot believe it. So I am gonna have to start planning, I guess, for a 1,000 subscriber giveaway. I'm gonna probably announce it earlier than I did last time for the 500 subscribers. I want to be able to make sure I can get back to you guys. You guys are the ones who make this possible, and yeah, I want everyone to have a really nice fair shot in whatever we do next for the next giveaway. So anyhow, thank you guys so much as always, and until next time, stay safe and happy growing. We'll just scan up on our way out, guys. See ya.